directed by Dave Green, who I'm actually not familiar with. This is another one I skipped. Okay. Even though I didn't hate the previous one, enjoyed it to an extent, I'm just like, I'll wait. And I waited so long, I didn't watch it in its entirety until 2-3 days ago. Okay. I finally watched it, Kevin. And if you're wondering why we're not reading the background, it's because this one doesn't have one for individual movies.
I kind of enjoy it, though, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what? I watched it, and I'm like, this one's actually a lot of fun.
I think they toned down some of the stuff I didn't like from the first one.
Yes, they definitely course-corrected a few things. Shredder was one of them. Mm-hmm. Shredder is younger now. I think he's younger than William Fichtner, even though they said he raised him. But I think they never say it, but I think it's because the ooze might have mutated him, made him like younger. I mean, that's because if you saw what he looked like in the first one.
Yeah, he's like bald and scarred up.
I'm like, how does he look less scarred and better in this one? I think the ooze like healed him a little bit. They recast it, Karai. Yeah. They got a whole new person to play her. They got, what's his face? Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman. And Sheamus from WWE as Rocksteady. Yeah. And then Malcolm's friend's dad from Malcolm in the Middle. I had no idea that was him.
That's insane. That really is
I had to
crazy.
Google, like, that's Bebop. I get because he's mostly doing the voice. Yeah. You know, but I'm like, oh, that's cool that was him. So yeah, I remember people, like Turtle fans I know, who really didn't like 2013, but they were like, well, I gotta see this one. Yeah. Because it's got Bebop, Rocksteady, Baxter Stockman, and for some reason, this is important to a lot of you, I guess, Krang.
No thing is smarter than the Krang.
We like Krang.
It's I know, but it's funny that people are like, it's not a turtle. Oh shit.
It's all right.
They're like, we need Krang.
We
need Krang so bad. I'm like, oh wow, I guys really like Krang. All right.
He's a really big part of the lore.
He is. It's weird that it took this long to get him in a movie.
I think it probably was the right time to put him in a movie. Like,
yes, you could do it.
Him as a Jim Henson
thing
would have been weird.
And also, if we're ripping off everything, there's so many alien like Transformers, Avengers. Like this is the time, at the height of superheroes fighting alien invaders. This is where you bring in Krang.
Yep.
Voiced by oh god, I gotta look up his name. Hold on, sorry, Brad Garrett.
Oh, geez.
Yes, voiced by Brad Garrett. It apparently was almost voiced by Fred Armisen.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But no, apparently there was like a scheduling thing, so Brad Garrett stepped in. So yeah, the story for this one. The Turtles are fun superheroes, but they're sad that they live in the shadows. Thus the title. I like that Will Arnett has become the hero of the city. He took credit for everything that happened.
I think that's really funny. Yeah. And it's almost like the Batman movies. Yeah. You know, like we you know, you need to be the hero because we can't take the credit for this. And
yes.
You know.
And so they're feeling a little insecure about where they are. I like that April O'Neil is still doing her investigating stuff. Mm-hmm. She's dressing in sexy schoolgirl outfits to flirt with Baxter Stockman and whatnot. So yeah, she's still pretty decent in this. Yeah, they're investigating Baxter Stockman, who was involved in some kind of mutagen stuff. But it turns out he is also involved with the Shredder, and he's trying to break Shredder out of prison.
Right.
Who's being transferred to a different prison thing conveniently with Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yes.
In the same prison transfer stuff. And we also get introduced to the new character, Casey Jones. More on him in a second. During this whole heist, which they have the new turtle van, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. I could see, they were definitely selling a toy, but
awesome. Yeah.
That was the most cartoony.
It's a fun toy too.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. They're trying to save Shredder. They realize they could teleport him, but it's risky. He teleports, he goes to Dimension X, meets Krang, and Krang's like, hey, buddy, I've been watching you. You need to get 3 pieces of my machine to bring me and the Technodrome through so we can rule the world. And Shredder, for some reason, just trusts that he's just going to be nice to him afterwards. Shredder's now played by a different guy who I think was in The Wolverine. I think he was one of the characters. Okay. I think he was the asshole fiance that the one girl was set up with. Oh. So yeah, he agrees to help Krang.
I guess just because he has to get back to Earth somehow,
he has to get back to Earth.
He has to play along.
Yeah, so he agrees to help Krang take over the Earth and on his way, he's going to mutate Bebop and Rocksteady because he hates the turtles also. He wants revenge. And he actually looks like Shredder.
Yeah.
He actually has just like a black latex suit. It could have added a little color to it, but with the regular blades, not weird CGI blades. It actually doesn't look bad.
It looks fine.
It looks fine. And he does stuff for the movie. He doesn't have too many fights.
Right.
But
he's important. He's not just standing around and being mad at people.
Yeah, he's commanding people. He's somewhat menacing. He's actually a character and not a shoehorned in body double. Yeah.
The breakout scene.
Yeah.
Is fantastic.
Yes.
Like, they got all these ninjas on motorcycles. They're flipping cars, and a lot of that's practical effect stuff. Like, that's a great scene.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Introduce the turtles, introduce Casey.
Yeah. And again, the turtles still kind of look weird.
They do.
But at this point, you kind of just going along with it.
You're used to it, and they've tweaked them just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Softened a little bit. They got rid of some of the junk on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they really did, didn't they? Yeah, they look way less busy in this one.
They look a lot better.
Maybe that's another thing that wasn't taking me out of it. I'm like, oh yeah, they actually look kind of decent.
Yeah, they improved the turtles and Splinter, I think, considerably for the second one.
Yeah, Splinter looks a little bit better, although he does still have some evil rat eyes.
They can't change the design completely, but at least he feels
you gotta
furry,
give him pupils.
slimy.
You gotta give him pupils and an iris. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a fun time. It's enjoyable. There's an evolution of the characters. The turtles get a lot of scenes of just them, which is nice.
I enjoy them going to the basketball game. Like,
yeah,
I like that this movie has them be a part of New York. Like, the fact that they're a fan of a New York sports team and stuff actually makes them feel like they live in New York. Like, that's one of those things that doesn't really happen a lot. Like, if
I think in the past it might have just been licensing. Like, do we really want to license the Knicks for this?
And that makes total sense. Yeah. But like, if you live in the sewers of New York, and have access to the internet and TV or whatever, you're gonna be watching local news, local sports, and I just thought that was a really fun element to have them be able to like sneak in, watch the game.
Their lair is pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a cool thing where, again, they feel like they're outcasts. They want to belong to that world. But they find out pretty early on that there's this new ooze that can kind of make them human.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're debating. They're like, should we do this to finally fit in? But then we can't really be superheroes to save the city. But why bother? Because the city doesn't know who they are. They think we're monsters. There's a lot of cool stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it feels like a plot of like the cartoon, I guess. Krang and Shredder working together. They got to make a thing.
You got to make a sky beam.
You got to make a sky beam. The turtles need to fight monsters and ninjas. So you got Bebop and Rocksteady. I like that whole scene where they're in South America, like the plains.
Yeah, that is so over the top.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Bebop and Rocksteady in this.
Yeah, no, they did a really great giving them fun personalities.
Yeah,
they're not just like total idiots like in the cartoon.
Yeah, and I like they look kind of how you want them to look.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they kind of got stuck with the designs for the turtles in the previous one, but you could tell they were like, let's make them look a little bit better. Same thing with Shredder. Like, we can give him a new outfit. Yeah. That's not that. And Krang, I think, looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right. I think the brain coming out on a tentacle all the time from the body's a little goofy, but
they do it a little too much, especially during the fighting. They do it a little too much. But I like that they kept the robot guy.
Right.
He doesn't look as dumb because he's a little too robot-y. Yeah, so all that is fun. Here's what doesn't work. I feel bad saying this. I like him, Kevin. I know it's cool to hate on him now because of some stuff he said about the strike. I like this actor. I liked a version of this character that I had seen in other films. I was excited for both of those things to combine. Casey Jones is terrible in this.
Yeah.
He's the worst part of the movie.
Why did they make a vigilante guy a cop?
That's weird, right? That's not something from anything, right?
Not that I know of, and it just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's too obvious.
I mean, I get it to a point where like, oh, there's only so much I could do within the system. I need to be, they were ripping off The Dark Knight Rises, where the Robin character is a cop that becomes a vigilante. There you go. I just answered it. Answered it. Because a lot of these movies, and even like Transformers, it's like, what's popular in something else? How do we adapt that? I like Stephen Amell, but he is not acting good in this.
Maybe he just couldn't deal with the mocap suit and
maybe He's not interesting. He feels like he's playing way younger than he should be. He only wears his hockey mask once.
That first scene when he meets the turtles?
Yeah.
He doesn't have it on at all in the police precinct.
I don't remember him wearing it. Throughout, even at the end where he makes makeshift like rollerblades.
Yeah, they pay too much money for him to have him cover his face.
You can have it on.
It's true though.
He was playing Arrow. He wore a mask all the time.
In 1990, Casey doesn't wear his mask that much either.
Yeah, he does wear it once, doesn't he?
It's like that one scene.
No, know what the difference is though? In 1990, he still looks like Casey Jones with the long hair and everything.
Right.
Look at this. This is just. I walk past people on the street who look like this all the time. You just put a hockey mask on.
Got a hoodie and jeans.
It looks like a lazy Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Whereas old Casey Jones, you're right, he didn't wear it in 3 either. But then again, he wasn't really fighting crime out in the open in 3. I'm not saying you had to have it on all the time, but if you're going to go for it, have it on at least during the action scenes. That being said, he does have a really good... I do like when he meets the turtles and thinks they're aliens. And I do like when he's in the sewer and he's like, guys, I don't want to alarm you.
There is a giant rat back there.
It's a shame it's a sequel. Because it feels like it's a sequel to like a better movie. But it's like, oh, wow, the first one was really bad. This one's really, really entertaining.
Hoping there was going to be a third because I felt like they were doing all the right course corrections.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, now they had burned a lot of the good characters that we have always wanted to see with Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
But there's so many turtle characters that they really could have done something else.
And you could have brought those characters back. I like that they put Shredder on ice for later on. How'd you feel about the Technodrome coming in piece by piece? I thought it was cool. I didn't mind.
I guess it makes sense versus teleporting the whole thing, and it gives them something to like do.
And they can surf more. They're doing way more surfing in this.
I don't like the rocket roller skate. I don't mind Donnie having a drone. Like I think that worked. Michelangelo's like flying surfboard thing is really goofy.
I like how they're all so comfortable jumping out of the plane, except for Raphael. It's like, what are we doing?
That was a very like A-team, like the tough guy. Mr. T is like, I'm not getting in no plane. You know, I'm not jumping out of this plane.
But yeah, I know he had a bad time in the movie, but I thought his performance was pretty good. Raph was pretty good in this.
To this day, the thing that with those toys that drives me crazy, they made a Technodrome toy.
Yeah.
In the movie, there is an eyeball cannon thing on top of it.
Yes.
And the toy doesn't have it. And I'm like, that's the most iconic part. It's got to have the eyeball on top.
Why would they not include that?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's just like Epcot with a section missing. Like,
that's
what the
bizarre.
toy looks like. It's really weird.
Because other than that, it's just the Death Star.
Yeah, it's just
why wouldn't you put the goddamn eyeball on top of it?
I don't know.
It's so stupid. But yeah, Krang is okay. He kind of just shows up at the end and gets his ass kicked, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's them working together.
He's a little too much like Shredder from the previous one. It's like, oh, here's a CGI turtle fighting a CGI bad guy.
Yeah.
Doing ridiculous maneuvers.
And the humans are doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And I do like the moment where they're like, no, we're going to be turtles. They throw the ooze and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, because only they can go to where it is because the atmosphere or something, some convoluted reason. Do you think they really meant to kill Bebop and Rocksteady and then just added that voiceover later? Because they lock him in a shipping crate and then throw the grenade in.
Yeah.
And then, like, the whole thing, it's actually a cool scene where it blows up. But then you hear them talking and you're like, oh, I feel like that was added later on. Because they didn't want to kill them.
I mean, I think it's smart. I hate when they kill characters in these movies where they're designed to have sequels.
Yeah, you know? There's ways you could do it.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, Two-Face being killed in Dark Knight, that was kind of important. They needed that.
If it's plot-oriented, it makes sense. But when it's just like, well, that's how he's going to defeat him. It's like...
Yeah. Batman's going to knock the Penguin out a window. It's like, well, why? Don't you want to save him for later? No, these contracts are a lot. They're very expensive.
Green Goblin's going to get stabbed through the gut, you know.
Green Goblin. Although that one made more sense because we know the
used
story.
It for motivation, yeah.
Yeah, but like Dr. Octopus dying, like, I don't think he needed to die. But yeah, this one is fun, and I feel like a lot of people skipped it because they didn't like the previous one, which, granted, the previous one had a lot of problems with it, and I understand why people didn't see it. I didn't see it. But yeah, I feel like you should maybe check out this one also.
It's fun.
It's mostly just Casey Jones that sucks.
Yeah.
Everything else, they're really embracing the cartoon aspect of everything, right down to having the theme song at the end of the movie with the animated sequence. Like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, how was fan reception to this? Because Everyone I know who did see it thought it was okay.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of okay, but it was the sequel to the movie nobody really liked, and so it just was kind of like, okay, that was kind of fun. I think people did enjoy the fan service of getting to see some of these characters on the big screen.
Yeah, I appreciate they went like big with it. They're like, might as well just do them all.
We did one. Let's get everybody.
Let's
do
Shredder, Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, and we'll save Baxter Stockman for later, and then April gets to fight Karai.
Yep.
She gets to have her fight scene with her because I guess she wasn't pregnant this time, so she could do it. And you get a little bit more Will Arnett. Yeah. He's fun. Then that didn't do well. I feel in that guy's interview, I think he said like the second week the movie was out, they knew they weren't going with the third one.
Right.
I feel like it might have made money, but it made significantly less than the previous one. They're like, oh, we're not going to get lucky a third time. Let's just call it quits.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bummer that didn't continue.